We actually went back and got all the old documentation, and it's clearly written in there. So how it evolved before we entered into this discussion, I don't know. But going back to where we're approved, but again, remember, this was approved back in the 90s. So, this town has grown much since the 90s. So we can easily justify this increase. And based on the discussions that Andover's had with the DEP, they don't see this being a much more than a 90-day approval to get there.
And it's still not a strain on their aquifer.
No, not only if we go over the 1.768.
Well, it's a strain on their infrastructure, but not their aquifer.
Correct. That's true.
It's their infrastructure, not the
I don't know about the
Valley.
aquifer. They may disagree with you on that, but yes, it's the infrastructure. So,
Okay.
those are the two
That's
big
progress,
things.
though.
Yeah,
That's
sounds
it.
good.
It's progress. We're almost there. We're down to those two things. That's it.
I just want to make sure I'm understanding here that it's a 1.5, is that what you said?
That's what we can do right now per day.
That's the maximum per day, right?
Correct.
Now, you said something about an average.
What we set out to achieve initially
Was an
was to get a 1.568 gallons per day, average. Average gallons per day.
And that would
Average
mean,
gallon.
if you did that, that means that if
If we did 1.8 one day, we could do 1.2 another day and average it out.
And Andover was agreeable to that.
They were okay with it.
but DEP said no?
They're not doing it. We're not approved to do that.
What does it have to do with them?
Right, so just get to
Isn't
the
it
one point
business?
seven and.
Exactly. The last item I have in my report, and I'm going to throw it back to you, is preliminary calendar for the annual town meeting. The most critical thing to look at is, is a date for the budget hearing. And I would ask that you entertain April 30th. I realize a little bit off cycle, but to do that. And the reason why is we want to include the board's recommendations in the budget book, which is
30
important.
April. So we have 5 Mondays in April.
Yes, and that's why it works out nice.
Yeah.
So what's our Monday, our April schedule would be the 2nd?
Yeah, and now we know the 16th is a holiday, so
We could do the 17th,
Um,
then the 30th.
then the 30th.
The second,
Work
the
for
9th,
everybody?
you mean?
No, the 2nd, the 17th.
Or are we doing the
and
23rd?
30th.
Second and the 23rd. No, 20. Which one's the holiday?
Right.
16th.
The
Yeah, okay.
16th is
Yep.
oops, Jesus, sorry about that. The 16th is a holiday, so we have 5 Mondays in April.
Yep.
So we're doing, what again,
So what are our wishes here? We would be meeting on the 2nd and the 16th, except that's a
No,
holiday.
17th, all right?
No, so we can meet on the 17th, was it, Tuesday? And then again on the 30th.
You were suggesting the.
It doesn't
We're
matter.
suggesting something different.
No, it doesn't matter.
You were suggesting
It doesn't matter.
23rd, I think.
It doesn't matter. It's whatever works for you. I just didn't know whether there was an issue with school vacation week.
It is school vacation week.
Oh, yeah, that's right up your way.
That's the 16th, the week of the 16th, right?
So the 23rd. So April 2nd, April 23rd, and then you were suggesting
30th
The
for the
30th.
purposes of the budget hearing.
So I would prefer to meet on the 2nd and the 17th and the 30th, rather than the 2nd, the 23rd, and the 30th.
but some members,
17th
some
works for me.
members possibly of the board may be away because it's school vacation week.
Well, that's
again.
what we're at.
Right, yeah.
We're asking,
17th.
Can everybody make the 17th? If not,
No, we don't, I'll have to
I
be here,
can.
so it's not a problem.
I can make the 17th.
I
We
have
just
to check.
need to,
I can't tell.
we
Was that-
have,
I have to check. I don't know.
Social director, social calendar, book.
Yeah, I might have a problem too, if you look at my report, but.
Yeah, that's right.
Might, I'm not sure. I'll have to check with my planner.
It's probably gonna be a problem for me, but if you have enough members, it doesn't matter.
well, I mean, we.
It sounds
everybody
like
can
you-
make A different day, we'll have a different day.
No, just go with the majority.
Sounds like the 17th could be a problem.
A problem?
Right. 1, 2,
Okay. So we will do
23rd.
23rd.
Yeah, that may be better.
And then,
At 6 p.m.
and then are we
Second,
going
23rd,
to
30th?
go with the 30th so that whatever we decide is going to be
Public
printed in the
hearing.
warrant?
What?
That's so we can make the recommendations so
That's
that
the
they're printed
goal.
in the warrant. sneaking this in here? I don't have my little Palm Pilot here.
So,
So we'll do that at 7 o'clock instead of 6,
Mhm.
Greg?
so we're on April 2nd, April 23rd, and April 30th, right?
Bless you.
Save the people at home. I'm hearing that. Okay.
Anything else, Greg?
That's it, thank you.
Old and new business, Mr. O'Leary?
Old and new business. As I mentioned earlier, I went to the fundraising event, Comedy Night at Hillview, sponsored by the, well, now the 4th of July Committee, I guess, or whatever the ad hoc committee is, bring back the 4th of July Committee, and they had a very good turnout. It was a very entertaining evening. I don't know if they met their financial goals as far as what they were hoping for, but they were able to pay the bills and raise a little bit of money. And it was a good time, and again, I need to applaud them once again for their efforts, what they're trying to accomplish here. They had a good time.
You didn't see me there, but
No, but you know, my wife got outbid on your pictures that you were.
if your wife really wants a set,
Yeah,
we'll have it provided.
I think that's what I said to her. I said, my
Uh,
guess is he's probably, I know you don't use
I-
negatives anymore, but,
We did buy tickets,
yeah. It was
I
fun.
think.
It was good. And,
My sister-in-law wouldn't let me off the hook,
Yeah.
obviously, right?
she was very busy running around with her T-shirt, bring back the 4th of July T-shirts and peddling them, so she worked hard. But it was great.
Yeah, but what I'm hearing is they're struggling to raise enough money,
Right. So it's, well, it's hard to come up with,
which creates a problem too.
Mhm.
Because if people think that they're not gonna make it, they're not,
well, they're, now that they're organized and recognized, they're hoping to, they're gonna have
they've gotta get some,
they're gonna have something.
they've
They-
gotta get some business people to kick in some money. That's a hard thing to do these days too, so.
The other thing is, I just want to mention the passing of Harold Reynolds. Harold he's being waked tonight at Croswell, being buried tomorrow. But he was a longtime 50-plus year resident of North Reading and a 40-year member of the Special Police Department. Raised about 6 kids, and he and his wife Marilyn have been very active participants in the community for a number of years. He was on the police station building committee, and been fighting the battle for the last couple of years, and he's finally at peace now. But I want to publicly acknowledge his service to the community and offer my and our condolences to Marilyn and his children, and thank him once again for what he did. Great guy. Great sense of humor. Funny bugger. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, unfortunately I do. Because I've struggled with this for the last couple of weeks. And I feel, Steve, you left me no choice, but I have to respond to what you said at our last Board of Selectmen meeting. And only because I just quite couldn't figure it out. Maybe a little bit I could, but not a lot of it, because you started your comments about bringing out and highlighting an issue with this board and our tone, and that you don't like where it's going, and that you hear from the public that they don't like where this is going. And you based it off of a letter to the editor from a resident who was upset about us questioning snow and ice. That's how you started it
No,
off.
it
Now,
wasn't
let me,
based on that.
you had
That-
your
that's what
opportunity.
triggered it.
I
That's fine.
didn't interrupt you, and I'm gonna ask you,
I'm sorry,
please,
go ahead.
with my nicest tone, not to interrupt me. You wanna,
I apologize. Go
if
for
the
it.
chair wants to recognize it, then you can have that opportunity. Okay? But that's how you started it off, based off of a letter to the editor from an upset resident over snow and ice. And he was very harsh in his comments, but rather than being upset, we actually should be apologizing to the residents, because I went back in my mind and I remember that meeting. There was nothing wrong in my tone, at least I can only speak for myself. My tone about snow and ice, I thought, was actually professional. And I know my tone can be unprofessional on many occasions. I will admit that. But I'm not going to apologize for it, because I'm not a rubber stamper. Everybody on this board had the same information I did. And when I saw that it was 520 hours of snow and ice on a week that was over 40 degrees, 5 out of the 7 days, I'm going to question it. And something got done about it. But the problem is it should have never made it to this board. It should be dealt out there. And that's where the problem is, and that's where you should be upset. Don't be upset with the tone of this board. And then you really made it clear to make sure everybody knew that it's only been over the last 2 years that this board has changed. And the only thing that's changed on this board is me. And I'm not going to apologize, Steve, for that either. Okay? I know you don't maybe particularly care from the way I do things, but the people put me here, and I put myself here because I was frustrated. And I'm going to ask a lot of questions. And I think it's what we all need to do. We need to watch every dollar to make sure that every dollar that is spent goes to what its intended use was for. Okay? But it was wrong, I felt, of you to call out this board in an open meeting like that. We have issues. I mean, I'm learning. Okay, it's my second year, guys. If this is how we're going to do it, then okay. Now I know how it's going to work. And I want to end it on one thing, somewhat related, because I think our DPW employees are getting a bad rap over snow and ice, Greg. And I really want to bring this up to your attention. And I want to make it clear to the people listening at home. The DPW employees did nothing wrong. They were given a direction by their leadership who was mismanaging the snow and ice time, but to do a job. And they did their job, and they got paid for that work. But I don't want anyone in town to think that they got hours for free. They didn't. They did the job they were asked. How it got accounted for here is in your department. And I don't want, because I've heard things around town. I've heard people saying, oh, I can't believe these guys got free overtime. They didn't get anything free. They worked, and they worked very hard, and they actually delivered a great service, and they did great work. Now, how it was being allocated is incorrectly. So I want people at home listening, that anybody's up by now, and I want this board to make sure when people are talking around town about it, that we clarify that. Thank you. I'm done.
Sean?
Yeah, I'm going to probably pick up where Michael left off. I didn't have the benefit in our meeting 2 weeks ago when Steve spoke on the issue of having had the opportunity to read the letter to the editor. But as soon as I was able to pick up the transcript, I read it. And the first portion of that letter to the editor was what I'm hearing around town in terms of people want to make sure this board is making sure their tax dollars are spent appropriately. I didn't agree with the letter to the editor in terms of civil, criminal sanctions against anyone. I mean, that went too far.
Yeah.
You know, Steve, you've been a member of this board for quite a long time. So I always stop and listen and think about what you said. In terms of us being civil, I would agree with you on that aspect of it. But in terms of this board questioning whether it be the town administrator, department head that comes before us, questioning how tax dollars are spent, I don't think we were uncivil that evening. I think we were very civil in terms of questioning Mr. Cannavale in that particular evening. There are times, I would agree with you, there are times that, and I'll be the first one to admit that I am from time to time not as civil as I should be. And sometimes I get upset as to what I see and what I hear. But I think that evening, in terms of what was being questioned, was appropriately questioned. And from what I hear around town is people appreciate the fact that it was questioned by members of this board. And I will continue to do so. When I first got elected, I told people I wasn't afraid to ask the hard questions. I don't think we asked hard questions that evening. And I will continue to do so. In terms of what's been accomplished over the last couple of years, I think we've accomplished a great deal. We were able to ratify every single contract. We got employees on board in terms of some concessions we were looking for, in large part due to various members of the board taking a hand in those negotiations. We've been able to, through another subcommittee, bring ALS on board. We've gone about and hired a fabulous finance director. We got a terrific police chief on board, and soon to be, hopefully, another fire chief on board. We put together a strategic plan. These are all accomplishments over the last couple of years. I do agree with you that I, for one, can be more civil at times, but in terms of questioning the appropriateness of the spending of tax dollars, I will not shrink from that responsibility, and I will continue to ask those questions. Thank you.
different